In today's video, guys, I'm gonna walk you through the process of building the perfect deck in Warcraft Rumble. Now, this video is brought to you by Warcraft Rumble, so I just want to say a big thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. And if you guys like what you see on the screen, you want to get involved, you can download the game by using my link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. Talking about troops, leaders, and everything else that we need to know in Warcraft Rumble, guys. There are quite a few things that you need to know before we dive into the best troops and stuff like that, how to kind of like pick them. You have a total of 5 different families in Warcraft, guys. Right here at the very top, these are the family leaders or faction leaders, however you guys like to call them, whichever terms is more familiar to you guys. And I do think that most of them are pretty important. Some of them are extremely powerful and extremely helpful, but you can play an entire deck without even deploying a family leader. So leaving that on the side, I do think that they are important, but at the same time, I would prioritize more the actual troops that you have in your deck. You know, that's what really makes the most out of your formation, because most of these leaders are very expensive to cast, okay? Some of them cost 5 gold, some of them cost 4, some of them 3, some of them are cheaper, you know, like 2, for example, this one, which is a pretty good one. Overall, you need to get a lot of utility from them, and you need to build your team, your deck around the leader as well. So in my case, this is one of my most favorite decks right here and one of my most favorite leaders, because he is a good tank, okay? And he will be very, very helpful in most of the situations. So for example, Hogger right here, guys, will increase his speed by 35% each time he is being played, which is nice because he's gonna get to move faster. Then he's a melee, he's an AoE damage dealer, and he's a tank. And it costs you 4 gold to deploy, which is a very, very good thing, because usually a tank is pretty expensive. A tank that's able to stay alive and soak in a lot of damage, do a lot of damage, have a good speed, is going to be pretty costly. So he has a good amount of HP at the current level that I have, good area damage, good DPS, and he has a medium fast speed, which is very, very important for a tank. If not, they will be extremely slow on the map and they will be left behind by the rest of the troops, or it's going to take them forever to reach the destination. Now, another thing to know about every single mini troop leader in Warcraft Rumble, guys, once you're going to rank up the units to uncommon from common, you will unlock a special skill right here that can be, of course, acquired by playing the game and being purchased from the daily store, you know. In my case, Hogger will gain 10% max HP. This is actually very, very important. Not this one in particular, but to have this skill on most of your minis. It will make an absolute massive difference. Now, what exactly do leaders provide for the entire deck? So how you may notice, right here we have kind of like auras, okay? Let's call them auras, or aka army upgrades. So the leader has the crown on top right here. Then we have this one, which is Beast, and gives me a 3+ bonus level. So basically, whatever troop mini is going to be deployed right here, it will gain 3 extra levels, which means that they will gain additional stats. Now, these have different rarities as well. How you may notice, I have some legendary ones because they're more shiny than the bronze ones that I have next to them. This one, again, it will give me a +1 bonus level onto my beast. This one is a cycle one, and it will give me again a 1+ bonus on my level for my Griffin Rider, even though it's not even part of this family, right? Then, of course, you have the Unbound units, 1+ level. You have the range ones, which will give me 3+ levels on them. And this one, again, it will give me 1+ level on fast troops. But whatever I'm using here is not from the same family either, so it won't really actually help us a lot. But you can change them right here. So how you may notice, if you are farming the dungeons, I'm going to do a different guide on dungeons in the next couple of days, guys, so stay tuned for it if you're interested in that. Basically, the main reason why you are doing the dungeons is to get this energy right here that will allow you to upgrade your minis and to unlock your upgrades for your leaders. So this is very important. You see, we have different rarities. You're going to have silver as well. That's what I have on the leader, which gains 2 levels. So you can change them if you want. If you want to reroll some of them, you will have different options. You can put in spells or whatever. But I like to keep it like this. I'm not really using spells a lot. Now, when we are talking about the actual troops that we have in right here, so one of the most important things, guys, is the actual cost for the troop, okay? You see, we have 3 gold nudges, we have 5 gold nudges, 2, 2, 2, 4. Some of the troops that you do have available, they cost you 1. Now, not many of them are actually good. I feel like the best one gold nudge troop is the Defiance Bandits. I unlocked a skill that basically will poison the enemies. So this will actually be very good. Poison is extremely powerful in Warcraft Rumble, guys, because it's constantly stacking on and dealing damage over time, you know, so it's going to be very, very helpful. Then right here at the range ones, I have, of course, the Murloc Tidehunters. You will need to deploy range units to protect your ground units as well from air units that are going to attack them. Most of the tanks, the ground units, won't be able to attack air units. So when you are building your deck, you need to take into account every little possibility. So usually you want to have a tank, at least a tank. You need to have a siege unit that is able to break the enemy defense, depending on what sort of towers they have. Now, of course, that does not require necessarily to be a catapult. It does not require necessarily to be a unit that will focus only the siege building, right? So you can play it around with good tanks. In my case, I have the Hogger, which is an amazing tank. And then we have, of course, my elemental troop right here, the Fire Elemental, which is another good tank. Now, the next thing that I need next to it is to have some awesome air units that will be able to protect my tanks, and they will be able to attack all of their ground units without necessarily taking damage, or even if they are taking damage, to be able to put in a lot of work for my deck. So in this case, the Harpies are one of my most favorite mini. So it's basically summoning 3 different Harpies at the cost of 3 nudges. Now, they do a lot of damage to some of the ground units. You're just going to see them melting some of the ground units in seconds. So you need to prioritize a couple of good flying units, preferably in your deck as well. While you have 2 solid ground units, 2 good flying units, and then, of course, you will need some range units that can deal with their flying units if they are completely destroying your flying units. They do tend to have weaknesses here and there. So, for example, they will do a lot of damage versus flying units. They will quickly melt them down, you know, as long as they manage to actually make a move. I do have a skill on it that gives me extra range, which is actually very, very helpful, guys. So, always keep an eye for these skills. I will show you in a second from where to get them if you miss the beginner guide. Then I personally like to have a good flying unit that deals AoE damage. A lot of the times the enemy will send a lot of small troops that are just there to annoy you, like chickens, or you're gonna get some dinosaurs, some different little things that can be annoying if you don't have a good AoE, and especially if you don't have a flying AoE, right? Because they will attack your ground units ASAP. So I decided to go with the Chimera, the dragon. Chimera is actually a pretty solid troop. My main complaint about it is that it costs you 5 gold nudges, but it has good HP. It deals good damage, you know, elemental damage too, medium to fast speed, and it has 2 different heads dealing damage, which is definitely very, very helpful. And I do have a skill that has corrosive breath, dealing poison. How I mentioned, poison is very, very strong. Then I have another flying unit, which is the Griffin Rider. Now, in this slot, in my opinion, I can either play the Griffin Rider, or I could play a different range unit. You could replace this flying unit as well, or a different one of the flying units, depending on whatever characters you like, whatever is your playstyle, and whatever you like in general to play. You could replace it with a spell. Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of spells. This is an amazing spell, the Blizzard, but it costs you 4 gold. While it can be extremely, extremely helpful, I would rather go and summon a unit that will stay alive and deal damage for a longer duration of time, rather than just have a spell coming in for a few seconds and then it's gone, basically, you know? So, while I do think that some of the spells are awesome, I do not find them powerful enough to make every single deck, you know? I could bring in, of course, character like this one right here, Dark Spear Troll. he's gonna deal pretty good damage as well, versus flying units especially. So you can play around with that. Now, you have the next type of minis, guys, troops, which are the Unbound. These are absolutely game-changing. Not only that it will allow you to distract the opponent, but you will be able to deploy them everywhere on the map, at least in PvE. In PvP, it will be a boundary around their base, and you cannot deploy them straight next to the tower, but you will be able to put them outside of the tower and reinforce either a different tank or stuff like that. But that is pretty much everything that you guys need to know about how to build your perfect deck in Warcraft Rumble. You know, to summarize it quickly, you do need to have a good tank, preferably 2. It's gonna be very, very helpful. Don't take units that are very expensive into your deck, because you're not going to be able to constantly deploy them, and the enemy will quickly overwhelm you with the troops. And you need protection for your tank. Ranged flying units is all about the way you deploy them, and having at least one Unbound unit is absolutely key to success. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and we're going to do a quick quest, guys. That's nice and easy, just to kind of like show you how everything works in practice, basically. So that's the boss right there. We see where it is. I'm going to deploy a tank, and from there on, I'm going to basically deploy some reinforcements. Now, my Harpies are very fast. I don't need to quickly rush to deploy them, so I'm going to put the Griffin. Then right here, I have the enemy that is attacking me. I want to make sure I'm ready to deal with this, and I'm going to put range units. I'm going to put some flying units to help me out a little bit in here. That dragon has a very strong AoE, and it can be pretty nasty if you're not controlling it. I have the Unbound unit. I'm going to put it straight next to the boss. That's why the Unbound units are so powerful and so helpful, because you can just deploy them right there. That boss is busy dealing with a tank, and my Unbound unit is just slowly picking the HP on the enemy. So super amazing to be able to use some of the minis like this. But it's all about the way you're controlling the troops when you're deploying them, making sure you're not deploying them in the wrong box, to make sure they're following the right path, to make sure they're supporting the right troops that you have deployed. And when you are doing these quests, make sure you are always focusing on the main troops that you're using. It's very important to level up one deck that will enable you to farm to complete the heroic campaign. If you're spreading too thin and you're building way too many troops, you're not going to be able to push higher into the heroic campaign, and that will hold you back, you know. So very important to prioritize a good deck, you know. But that was all for this video. I do hope that you found it helpful, and just a quick disclaimer for all of you guys that are part of our amazing community. As promised in the previous video, I will start our own guild, guys. I will be playing Warcraft Rumble for quite a while, so if you guys want to get involved as well, one, you can download the game by clicking on the link in the description down below, help and support the channel, which I really appreciate. And 2, I created a guild, GRT Rumble. Get ready to rumble. That's exactly what it stands for, guys. So get ready to rumble. Feel free to apply. I've just created the guild today. We are going to get awesome benefits from here. We are going to get the new unit that was added in Season 6, and tons of awesome rewards just by chilling, playing the game. I do like to play this game casually, you know, have it on the side without the fear of missing out on anything, because there isn't such a thing. So that's the main thing that I really enjoy in Warcraft Rumble. Thanks again to Warcraft Rumble for sponsoring today's video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.